Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Hello there. Welcome to a gorgeous day. I don't know if you're actually listening to this on a gorgeous day, but it sure as hell is right now in real time on September 15th at 10 a.m. In Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's a beaut. So I just want to pause at the very beginning to thank you for heeding my plea yesterday to do your part in a very easy way by joining the ACLU. And it's amazing how many people I've heard from who did, and I'm afraid to start naming names, but I'm thinking of Barbara and Michelle and Mike, and now of course I'm blanking. Thank you. Again, my dream, my fantasy is for the ACLU to have the kind of membership list and strength that the NRA has, that Americans who feel strongly about civil rights, about First Amendment rights, about search and seizure rights, about criminal justice, all the things that the ACLU is involved with, will sign on the dotted line. It ain't pricey. It ain't pricey to be a member. But just those numbers, and then once you're in, maybe you'll start seeing other ways that you can be more active. Really, make my fantasy come true, okay? Millions. I want to see millions of Americans join up. All of the most important fights going on now to make our country better are being waged by one organization is always there. And it ain't getting rich. Nobody's getting rich in it. It's just passionate, wonderful Americans. And that is the American Civil Liberties Union. There are things that they do that you don't like because they go to bat for people who are expressing themselves in ways that are offensive to you. But the minute you allow one person, one group, to be squelched, there ain't no saying who's next, including you. So it's really important, really important. When I even joined the board, I said, but I don't even agree with all the... And they said, perfect. Perfect. I mean, that's if you agree 80% of the time, that's fantastic. 60% of the time, you should still be a member. Please do it. Do it online. It's that easy. Bang. Come on. Thank you. That's my... I was going to say my last pitch, and I bit my tongue because it probably won't be. So thank you, those of you who done did it. Here, I don't even know where to start, and you'll have to forgive me. I was trying, as you know, to pace myself for this presidential race, and I thought I was doing pretty well, but I've really stumbled in the last week, and I think I've been almost incoherent. Maybe total act. Maybe I have been incoherent because, oh boy, I'm wheezing today. You hearing that? Little whistles? Yeah. And you know what that's about? Remember I told you I can no longer get that medicine I need because of our wonderful healthcare system, the one that I needed the EpiPen to have. And my health is definitely already worse. Just 2 months into not having that medication. So, anyway, enough of that. But I'm sorry about my wheezing. It's driving me nuts, too. So where was I? My incoherence seems like a good place to start. am such a... I'm becoming more emotional now than rational when I read about this campaign, when I learn more about Donald Trump. All of this, when I see polls rising, going the wrong direction. And if I was upset yesterday, the poll that came out today has finished me off. Essentially shows a dead heat nationally. It's a dead heat. And it does show Florida now moving into Trump's column. And, right now, Pennsylvania is standing as a bulwark. And we've got to make sure that we save this country. I'm thinking we're in a position to do so. Next door in Ohio, they ain't doing their job. This is getting, to me, truly frightening. And just like any other human being, when I'm frightened, I'm not thinking clearly. And hence, I think, incoherence. I'm really, I think more than anything, I'm feeling an incredible sense of sorrow, actually. And it's, I am. God, I could start crying right now. I am feeling, I really have always loved this country. I've loved what it means. I love what it has often stood for. I have decried much of its actions. I have loved about it that it has continued to grow. That's what I've loved. That we have gotten closer to the ideals that were set forth in our founding. And all of it is, there's one prerequisite, and it is that the people of the United States feel involved, feel an ownership, feel a responsibility to keep this country moving forward, being worthy of our love. And I think what I'm seeing now is that I think we're starting to lose this country. I do. I was sitting in my living room last night and looking across the room at my son. He didn't know I was looking at him, but I was looking at him. And I was feeling such fear. Such fear. That the country he will live in, let's leave the world out of it. The world he will live in will be something I cannot imagine. But the country, I've always at least felt safe here. I don't feel that if we keep going in the direction we're going, that this will be a safe place for an awful lot of Americans, like my son. So I really am, and I've always been pretty straightforward and honest with you in our conversations over the decades. And I do want to tell you that I am really, and I haven't said this to anybody else. You're the first guys I'm expressing this genuine fear and sorrow. And sorrow. Extraordinary disappointment in the people who are my countrymen and women. in their lack of seriousness, in how easily I don't even think it's that they're bamboozled as much as they don't give a damn. They don't understand that this great country that they pretend to love requires of them a certain seriousness. I don't know. That Donald Trump could be elected the president of this country is to me so, as I said yesterday, it's not unthinkable anymore. You can't say that. It's not unthinkable. So that one's gone. It's not unthinkable. It's possible. But it's so mind-altering to my whole sense of everything I thought I knew. I've lost my innocence a few times in my life. I was mentioning a few weeks ago how I lost it when I matriculated and went off to Northwestern University as a idealistic, bright, young 18-year-old, and almost immediately bumped into the world and was stunned and felt sorrow and felt anger and felt betrayal and felt disappointment, felt all those things I'm feeling now. So I'm having another one of those big moments where things aren't what I thought they were. It's a frightening place. We have a caller. Hi. Hello.
Hi, Lynn.
Hi.
Hey, I'm going to tell you something scary first and then something good.
Okay.
First of all, Trump, what was I going to say? Oh, his people, his supporters, they are, what they say, they ask him, well, do you think he's going to change things for you? Is your life going to be better under Trump? And they'll say, no, I don't think so. But they're still going to vote for him because he says what they want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's pretty pathetic.
Well, that is, again, irresponsible. It's people not being serious about what the consequences are of electing a person who is quite clearly unfit to govern. And I read a quote, just like you're saying, I read a quote from some guy in Kentucky who said, he's probably going to get us all killed. That's what his quote was. And he said, but I'm voting for him. We got trouble if we know there's millions and millions of people like that who are voting for him just to see what'll happen, who are voting for him because they like a good show, who are voting for him because they're just angry and pissed off, disappointed in their lives, whatever. But they're not being responsible.
And the second thing I wanted to say is you might not agree with the ex-governor Rendell, but he does know Pennsylvania.
Yes.
He said there's no flip in Pennsylvania. There's not enough people to flip that way for Donald Trump.
I'm hoping that's true because I know if he's saying it, that's good. And I also heard that from another former governor who is Republican, Tom Ridge, said the same thing. His sense was Trump can't take Pennsylvania. But I don't want anyone in Pennsylvania to think that for a minute.
No, maybe it's better that it's...
Yeah, I really don't, because I think there's a lot of unknowables in this election, obviously. This election is, well, we need not say the word, but, well, I will, unprecedented in every way. So we don't know until they count the votes. And I sure thank you for that, reminder that most of the politicos on both sides think Pennsylvania is in Hillary's column.
Another thing, these polls can say anything they want, but if the people don't vote, polls ain't worth a damn.
Well, that's right.
So, and Hillary has a better ground game, they say. So
well, they say, but also,
on that.
Right, it's tighter, though, among likely voters. If you look at registered voters, Hillary is a little more in a better position. But that's not the poll to look at. A lot of people are registered to vote, and they never vote. You look at likely voters, and likely voters tilt Republican. And the likely voter polls are showing essentially an even race. So what we could be looking at, I mean, it could be that, again, we're going to see a situation where she might, in fact, win. Or maybe he will win. Can you imagine win the popular vote but lose the electoral college? And that she'll get in like Bush W? Dear God in heaven.
I still don't believe it is that.
I know we can't believe it, but just look. I mean, I think we need to. I think we need to be frightened.
Oh yeah. But
Yeah, right. I know it's unbelievable.
It's time to leave the country.
Yeah, right. I was talking to. I mean, I don't know that I'd want to be associated with us.
I mean, he's Bush on steroids.
No, I just don't. No, that's being too kind. I don't. I mean, even when my country has been represented by a president I did not like, whose policies I did not like, I didn't feel like I needed to disassociate myself from the country. But if my country sees fit to elect this little tyrant wannabe, I don't know that I want to be associated with it anymore. We will consider it a grand experiment that lasted, 250 years or so, and then kaplooey, exploded by virtue of the fact that they said at the beginning, it ain't going to work if there's not an informed citizenry. And what we got is a absolutely, almost willingly clueless citizenry. People are not doing the job. It can't hold. It can't hold. Okay. Anyway, Thanks for trying to cheer me up for a second there.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Bye.
Linda writes, if you feel despair, please encourage people to call the Hillary campaign and volunteer. Well, I did say yesterday, I have now volunteered. Yeah. Guys, don't sit it out. I really think we're in a wonderful position in that we know if we're voting here in Pennsylvania. I realize some people who listen to this show are not in Pennsylvania. But those of us who are, our vote is more powerful than somebody who's voting in California or New York, in a state that you know where it's going. Those of us who live in a state where it is a state that's going to decide things, we have not only a responsibility to vote, but if you really care about your children's future, you got to stop this guy. You have got to do everything you can to stop this guy. This is a moment not unlike, and I'm not calling him Hitler, but not unlike 30s Germany. It's a time when a democracy started to go wobbly. And most people just say, well, we need to save our country. It's as simple as that. Hello.
Hey, Lynn, it's Mike in D.C.
Hi.
So I'm glad you brought up the informed citizenry thing, because I've been thinking about something for the past few days. And people, it's not that they just don't read newspapers, but they don't even understand what the president is.
No.
An acquaintance of mine last night said, well, I don't like her. And I wish I would have had the wherewithal to say, this isn't a popularity contest.
No.
We're not picking people we like. We're picking people who will represent us in our best interests in the presidency.
Right.
It doesn't matter if you like them. It matters if they're going to represent your interests.
But see, media have made this. People think of it all now. It is like a big reality show. It's like Big Brother. We're voting people out. We're voting people in. It's like Survivor. Yeah, it's just like another show. And whether you like the person has a lot to do with it. I was listening to the BBC yesterday, and they were talking about the American election, and the reporter trying to explain it to the Brits was saying, strangely, policy issues, the things that these two candidates would do once they are in office, are not covered by the media. All that is covered is the race itself, the mechanics of the race, and personality issues, so-called character issues. And I thought, that's it. Now, whose fault is that? That's media.
It's still citizenry, because you have to know your civics, and that you are sending someone to represent you to Washington. People always complain about how horrible Washington is. Washington's fine until you send your assholes here. You're sending someone to represent your interests.
Yeah.
Not to be the most popular kid in school. Who's going to represent your interests? A corrupt millionaire, or someone who's served in political government for more than 25 years and who has dedicated her life to helping other people?
Well, seems like a no-brainer, but it is, I don't know, Mike. I hear you. I think we all got to really try very hard, if there's anybody in our orbits that we can talk some sense to do so.
I've turned 3, and I'm going to turn this guy who said this.
Okay, go to it.
Find a good way to do it.
Go for it. Thank you.
See you.
Thank you. Bye. Back to Linda's email. She says, you got to volunteer. It is really now all about getting out the vote. And actually, I did hear David Plouffe, who is the genius behind Barack Obama's 2 wins. David Plouffe said the same thing. We're at a point now where it's a matter of, if we don't get our people to the polls, it is over. It's all about that. Linda says, I have to admit that I too feel despair over the number of people supporting Trump. I only have 1 vote and a limited amount of money to give, so I'm giving as much time as I can to volunteering for the campaign. Believe me, we need more help. Making calls, knocking on doors, whatever. Please do it. I know I'm asking you a lot of things these days, Join the ACLU, call it, and volunteer. But, I told you when I was learning to type once, that the phrase that we typed all the time was, and I can still, when I think it, I'm still like doing the, now is the time for all good men to come to the aid of their country. Well, it seems like a little bit dated now with the men thing, but it's true. Now is the time for all good people to come to the aid of their country. If you want to feel like a real citizen, you got to show it this time. Model it for your friends, in every other way. Do it. We got to do it, guys.
Actually, I have something to say. Can I say it?
Yeah, sure. Of course you can say it.
No, it's your show. So, you just reminded me by saying that you're asking everybody to do things.
Right.
I love my landlord. She is a woman, I would say, in her late 60s. And she's been a landlord in Wilkinsburg forever. But there is an unenforceable, by law, clause in my lease and every other lease of all the apartments that she rents that asks you to do at least 2 hours of community service a month.
You're kidding.
If you're going to live in her buildings.
You're kidding. Mm-hmm. Do you think most of the tenants do it?
Yeah, I do.
You
actually.
do?
I mean, in a way. She doesn't ask it to be, documented or straightforward, but it's do 2 hours of something
How
good
wonderful.
for your community or someone else.
How wonderful.
A month.
Okay. I love that.
Which is nice.
Thank you. I love that. Wow, a landlord. We have a call? Hi. Hello, caller.
Hello, Lynn.
Yes.
Hey, Lynn, 2 comments. How do when they pull people, how do things change? How do you go from one?
Well,
Go
because
Trump. No, you know what? I've made my kind of change now. I'm going to go. I think Hillary. It's too because it's not even close. How do you pick?
You have not finished one sentence.
I'm crazy. This morning, I'm getting crazy now. I was kind of nice and mellow, and then I listened to the calls and comments, and I'm getting nuts now.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. We should be a little nuts now. Polls are, what everybody who knows polls say is don't get freaked by just one. Look at aggregates of all the polls. But the people now who are doing the averaging, this race is absolutely like this. And she has dropped in a lot of.
But I see. But I'm just thinking about this stuff. How does that happen? Though? It's.
Well, I mean, first of all, there are a lot of people, as you know, in this election that aren't wild about either candidate. So there are a lot of people who are like, oh well, oh this, oh that. There are a lot of undecideds.
You're right. I get.
Also, it's a sample, so it just could be that sometimes it's a sample at a specific time, okay? So what's in the news at that time and who happens to be called, that's why you don't want to look at just one poll. You want to look at averages and stuff. My understanding is that she's still, right now, you'd rather be in her position than in his.
Right.
But the momentum, as I noted, is just overwhelmingly in his favor right now. He's moving up. She's moving down. There are fewer than 2 months till the election. This is not what you want to see in the fourth quarter, right?
No, I don't.
Okay, so I'm just saying we need to redouble our efforts. We really do. Now, I think a lot is riding on that debate coming up in.
That Trump doesn't want to have because
he'll have it. He's got to do it.
He said he doesn't want to have it. He doesn't.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't want a moderator.
Right. Well, fine, but he's going to have to do this debate.
He doesn't want to though. He's already said it's already.
I'm sure a lot of them have not wanted to, but.
Trying to say that it's a fixed debate. And,
yeah.
But because he knows he's not going to win that.
Yeah.
But the other thing negative, I'll just leave it on negative thing. I have a cabin up north in Kane, Pennsylvania, and we drive up north. And
you needn't even finish this one. Right.
You know what I was going to say.
Go ahead.
All the road signs, I have not seen one Hillary sign. All I see is Donald sign.
That's right. Well, that's the...
I mean, what...
That's a Pennsylvania area. I'm sorry. That's just, the only reason...
You drive to these towns, and what the... Ford City...
Oh, yeah.
I mean, all these places, it's...
I know.
Okay,
all right. I hear you.
Bye.
Freeze annex for all. Freeze annex for all. Okay, here's Chuck. Lynn, when I go to bed at night, I worry. Yeah. Don't we? Not sleeping too well these days. I worry about my elderly father. I worry about my daughter living in the Big Apple. I worry about my readiness for retirement. I worry about the things that are normal, things that most people worry about. I do not worry about the stock market crashing. I do not worry about a nuclear holocaust. And I do not worry about the total collapse of our government. But if Trump wins, these would become legitimate worries for me and for all of us. I agree. So you're saying, look, I already got so many things that I worry about. Gee, if Trump wins, none of us will ever sleep again. Boy, you callers. Hi, how you doing?
Hey, Luke. How are you?
Fine.
I didn't mean to interrupt you midstream.
That's okay.
All right. First, let's kind of get our legs back, under us.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now, if you check the aggregators and the best prognosticators.
She's got a 2 and 3 chance.
Yes, well, yeah, she's between it's between 2 to 3 times, or actually, like you look at like the Upshot or the Princeton Consortium, she's up by like 4 to 1. Or yeah.
Well, I know, but we can always find the polls that make us feel better.
Yeah, it's like between 2 and 3 to 1.
Yeah.
Now, let's get off the momentum thing. What hurt her this week was the
fainting and the pneumonia, and the remark she made dissing.
No, I don't think that hurt her. That didn't hurt her with people who were going to vote for her anyway.
All right.
The only people that hurts her with are frankly with the Trump voters who were never going to vote for her.
Right.
That didn't hurt her with her constituency.
Okay, but it was again playing into she's not telling us the truth. She wasn't forthright. She wasn't blah, blah, blah. Whatever. And it feeds into his meme that she's unhealthy.
Yeah, well, no, it fed into you know what also fed into? All this bullshit, okay, about her not being transparent. I lay a lot of it at the feet of our American media. Because when Trump and Giuliani and all the other cretins were making that claim that she's mentally unfit, she has Parkinson's and epilepsy. Well, first of all, epilepsy wouldn't disqualify, but she has Parkinson's and dementia and all that shit, which was vile. The media didn't smack him as being vile. They paid no penalty for it. I mean, this is a guy, he's a crook.
Yeah.
He's a fucking crook.
He is. He's a crook. And you know what? If he were elected, he'd end up getting impeached because there would be so many cases being brought against him.
He's a fucking crook.
Yeah, he's a crook.
Chiseler. He lies all the time. He hasn't produced any records. None.
No, I know. And that anyone would vote for somebody who is not giving us any information about...
He's an ignoramus.
Yeah, well, fine, we know.
Well-informed and clever. Good Lord, Gary Johnson supposedly had to take a big hit because he didn't know about Aleppo.
He's gone up.
Trump didn't know what the nuclear triad was.
I know.
He's a fucking clown.
Okay.
And, you know, you talk about this country, and I agree. I mean, at least you got the withdrawal right now. You can go to Canada or Australia, whatever. I'm in a bit of a bind. But, because I wouldn't want to, I mean, I would be ashamed. I was ashamed enough when W won re-election.
I know, it is. I felt ashamed, too. But this is so beyond that. It's so beyond.
He goes on Dr. Oz.
Oh, yeah, he did. He was there this morning, and it was beyond belief. And he was sitting there, and Oz is saying he did everything but ask him if, you know, his bowel movements are regular. And there he is sitting there. It was the most repulsive, unbelievable. You can't believe it anymore if you're a serious person. This is what we do in this country. It's just we're already, as Colin Powell said, well, he called him a pariah.
He said he was a racist.
He's a racist. He's a pariah. He's a clown.
I am a little ticked off, very ticked off in our media, which has
yes.
to somehow pretend they're equivalent, like they're both serious candidates for office.
Exactly.
The other thing I'm a little ticked off at is, look, I want the surrogates out there. I mean, President Obama, I want Michelle Obama out there. I want Elizabeth Warren. You know, I'm not even on Twitter, but man, I want her getting under his skin again.
Yeah.
I want Bernie out there, although his followers seem to have turned on him.
Well, you know who's... Bernie's doing nothing.
Yeah.
And his followers are... they're voting for Johnson.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's
wonderful.
Like I said,
great.
There's one...
the millennials are really screwing up. The young people, they're not coming through.
Most of them aren't going to vote.
Let's
face it, most of them didn't vote.
I mean, don't you? I don't know. Okay, hey, John, I got to move on because I got some stuff I want to get in here. But thank you. Thank you. Bye. Charlie Pierce, who writes for Esquire, had his moment of despair yesterday, and he wrote a piece. And it's chilling. Because what he says, essentially, is, let's say Trump doesn't make it. He has readied the soil. He has created an environment and shown a would-be tyrant behind him who might actually have more qualifications, shown him the way. Some of what Charlie Pierce says is, human tolerance of tyranny is something we all have in us. All of us. And he says we all have in ourselves the potential to be a tyrant or to be admiring of one or to tolerate being subservient to one. I mean, you look around the world, those are human beings, so many living under tyrannical regimes. You adjust, right? But he says as we look at our country now, we see that a substantial number, huge number, of people in this country are not looking for a president. They're looking for a ruler, an authoritarian. That's what they're responding to, and that's what scares me. That's what's been uncovered. People wanting to throw the whole wondrous experiment of the United States of America up for one person who just says to them, "Don't worry, I'll take care of it. What do you have to lose?" And Pierce says this election cycle, because of the presence of this ridiculous man and his ridiculous campaign, the American people have proven themselves unworthy, profoundly unworthy of being called citizens. Charlie Pierce. The fact that so much in this election has just been flat out insane, like today, Oz, the Oz thing. That is not, that any of this has not been reported as, hey, and that's nuts. Hey, and that's nuts. But we now know we have a country in which a frightening number of people yearn for what Pierce calls an entertaining autocrat. Like Juan Perón and Evita. Well, it's like a musical, all wrapped up in one. And then, if you bother to pay attention and listen, the continuing revelations, and they have been jaw-dropping in the last few days, of how he runs his charity. His charity, what a joke. His family foundation. It's a laundering operation. And you already got the New York AG investigating. He should, I mean, these are... He breaks the law. The IRS should be on his tail. Well, they are. The way he conducts his private business. Newsweek magazine, and I beg you to seek this out, has a piece out yesterday that is long and difficult to read because it's terrifying. But it is about Trump's dealings, Trump's business dealings around the world, and how, if he were elected president, his company would still exist, and that there's no way to put it in a blind trust. He says his children will run it. But he is so needing of the good works of despots around the world, certain governments around the world. He does business with crooks around the world. Imagine if that same businessman who's got millions upon millions of dollars on some deal where he's going to be putting some building up in name the country, and somehow that country ends up being a country that the United States has some issues with. How are you the president and supposedly looking after the people's interest as opposed to your own pocketbook? He has so many potential problems in that regard that it's frighteningly mind-boggling. He is so entangled with foreign governments and foreign investors that it is impossible to extract him and his business. And Charlie Pierce writes, let me just... Americans are bored with their democracy, and they don't have the democratic energy to do anything about it. So they will allow that apathy, that lassitude, to potentially elect the first dictator of the United States, or a would-be dictator. And he goes on to say, he gets on people like me who blame the media, but he says, hey, there has been incredible journalism being done during the course of this campaign. But I got to tell you, he's talking about print. He's talking about the guy at the Washington Post, and he's talking about the guy at Newsweek, and he's talking about the people in Florida who've done the Attorney General Bondi and Trump outrageous activities, probably illegal as well, that should bring both of them down. And he says this is the way journalism is supposed to be done, but very little of all this great journalism that is being done is being filtered up to the television coverage of the campaign and to a lot of the front page coverage of the campaign. I'm sorry, I'm letting some calls go by because I just want to, if you don't mind, let me just finish this up. So what we've got, and what we understand now, is that a substantial portion of Americans do not want a president. They want a ruler. And that's what he's offering them. And they like it. And as for media, look at how media enabled the same media. I'm talking about television news more than any. Because when the Bush administration wanted to get us to go to war in Iraq, he had that TV media in his pocket, you recall. Now, there were good journalists doing great work at that time, too. Print. They were writing it. They were shooting holes in the case that the Bush administration was making for the invasion of Iraq. But again, that great reporting did not rise up to the pretty little folks on CNN and ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox. All of them did not get up to them, and that's where most Americans are getting their news. And so you look at how we got into the Iraq War because media didn't do its job, especially television media. And Charlie Pierce says, this, I fear, is the same history repeating itself. The truth is that the facts are out there if anyone wants to make the effort to find them. I have, you have, but a whole hell of a lot of Americans have not. And even when given those facts, discount them. That is our only job as a citizen of this country. That's really the only thing we're asked to do. And so many don't bother. To keep a country like ours requires a collective national will. And Charlie Pierce, for one, thinks it may no longer be in us as Americans. He says, with every new poll that is released, I comfort myself with the knowledge that Donald Trump is not willing to put in the hours to be a competent authoritarian. Which is cold comfort, I know, but I'll take what I can get. He's saying, okay, I see it. He could be elected, but at least he'll be a failure as an autocrat because he doesn't like working too hard at it. And this is what Pierce said that chilled me. Of course, that cannot be said of the next guy. And there will be a next time, because the basic tectonic plates beneath our democracy have shifted so as to make the next tyrant want to be inevitable. Remember, the mechanics of tyranny are not all that difficult. They are primal in all of us. The desire for a big daddy to fix everything. It's like a reflex, like breathing. We engage them without thinking. In fact, he says, obviously, that's the very best way to do it. Not thinking. Charlie Pierce, Esquire. Okay, back to calls. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
I just wanted to know, where would I call to get involved with the Hillary campaign?
Oh heavens! Just go online. Hillary Clinton campaign, and I assure you that they will have. Is her headquarters here in?
I thought I heard there was going to be one in Monroeville, or maybe I'm dreaming now.
Well, I'll tell you what's in Monroeville, Trump's headquarters.
Ew.
Maybe that's what you heard.
No, we don't want that.
No, Celine's going to look it up here.
Oh, I feel bad for you. My heart is sick for you.
Oh, no. Don't feel bad for me. We gotta get our country righted a little bit, okay? And just stay tuned because I'll give you the information you need, okay?
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Ansel writes, I've heard a few of my friends saying that this time they'll be voting their conscience and casting a vote for Gary Johnson. And although I respect their choice, I think these same people need to ask themselves if they can live with Donald Trump for 4 years. You bet. No, I respect their choice. I do not. You don't play games this election. You don't give yourself, you don't get the masturbatory pleasure of saying, I vote my conscience, when the future of this democracy is at risk. I don't respect it at all. Ansel writes, this is not the election to put your conscience above the good of the country. Yes. If we didn't live in a battleground state, I'd say go ahead. Yeah, right, exactly. Fine. Vote your conscience. But if you're casting a protest vote for Gary Johnson, you better damn well be okay with Trump as the president of the United States. Ansel reminds us that, wow, Michael Dukakis had an 18-point lead going into the final weeks. He did? I find that hard to believe. So the wheels can fall off.
Having kind of a hard time.
You are?
think
You shouldn't be.
I think it's in East Liberty, but
Yeah, I think it is too on Highland, but I think it's in Highland and East Liberty. But there has to be something online where you can. Lori writes, it's also frightening that Mike Pence would become president if Trump is impeached or were otherwise to leave office. Yep, you got that right too. Mike, thank you. Mike just joined the ACLU. Thank you. Geez, I get stuff from Hillary's people every 5 seconds on my email.
sorry. It's like taking a long time.
It shouldn't, that's interesting. So you'll add volunteer opportunities.
Volunteer from the office, volunteer from your home, volunteer from anywhere.
Well,
Yeah,
ridiculous.
they're not-
See, they want to do everything online.
Yeah.
So I would say to the woman who called, please just go online. Maybe they'll ask you for your zip code
Just
or
sign up to volunteer. And
you
they'll
sign.
direct
There's a way
you.
to sign up to volunteer, and they'll probably give you a zip code, and then someone will be right back to you or something
I
like
just
that.
signed up,
So you just signed up, and that's what'll happen. Believe me, they're bang right on you. But the site you're on is you just Googled what? Hillary Clinton volunteer. Okay, so just do that. Put in a little legwork there, and do that.
Yeah, they opened the campaign office in East Liberty.
Generally, yeah, there's a building that almost always has the campaign office, and it is on Highland Avenue in East Liberty near Penn. Okay? I haven't been on that block. I haven't seen it, but that's what I'm thinking. Oh, boy. So,
I got the address.
oh, here, we got an address.
216 North Highland Avenue in East Liberty.
Okay, 216 North Highland Avenue.
In East Liberty.
And that's East Liberty. Sliberty, it's the new hot Sliberty. It's sort of right near, what was that restaurant? Chickens and pigs and stuff.
Pig and chicken.
Union Pig and Chicken.
I used to work there.
Right. It's sort of like right around there. It's, if you know where the Home Depot is, it's a few blocks closer to Shady Side from there. It seems though there should be a way rather than having to physically go.
There is.
There is?
I mean, you just sign up online.
Sign up online or physically go to Highland. Well, there's lots of great restaurants now. Go down, have a nice day, go to a nice restaurant, volunteer for Hillary. You could make a day of it. So before the show ends, I do have to. Any of you get in one of those Uber self-driving things? No. Boy, was that Pittsburgh was on the front page of every paper I got. I get this front page picture in the Wall Street Journal, front page New York Times, and of course everybody's doing the same thing. They let their reporters, drive and or get in, and I just want to share with you a few things that were written about it. Yeah. Well, no, I can take a call quickly. Okay. Hello?
The Hillary campaign is opening a new campaign office at 5 o'clock today in Bakery Square.
Oh, great. Okay, so again, but is everything in the East End? I mean, there's
I have
nothing.
no idea, but I just have heard that that's happening today.
Okay, so that's on Penn Avenue, Bakery Square, the former Nabisco place,
Yeah.
but that's pretty much the same.
I know. I'm listening to you thinking the same thing.
That's
But I
so
heard-
odd.
And there's a celebrity whose name I can't remember who's who's going to be there.
A celebrity, some celebrity.
I
Okay.
know. I'm terrible. Sorry.
It's okay.
Okay.
Bye. Okay, so the New York Times reporter said, in many ways, Pittsburgh is the perfect test environment for Uber. The city, in essence a peninsula surrounded by mountains, is laid out in a giant triangle, replete with sharp turns, steep grades, and dozens of tunnels. There are 446 bridges, more than in Venice. Residents are also known for the Pittsburgh left, a risky intersection turn. And speaking of the Pittsburgh left, the Wall Street Journal also got into the Pittsburgh left and said this: Uber has programmed its cars to allow other cars to make the Pittsburgh left, but not to make it themselves. So the self-driving Uber cars will let you go ahead, take the damn left, and yet they will not. The Uber car itself will not make the left. And the Wall Street Journal also says the city is notoriously difficult to drive through, with steep hills and three rivers that make streets twist and turn unpredictably. Crumbling bridges and potholes provide added thrills. Thank you very much. And then a professor at CMU says, if you can drive successfully in Pittsburgh, you're pretty much done. Well, I don't like, what is this? I mean, it's like, come on. And Uber also said, according to the Wall Street Journal, it hopes to be driving to the airport within months. And to include the entire metro area. I think people are sending me Hillary stuff, so hang on. Okay. Linda said, if anyone's out in Washington County and wants to work, and that's a tougher county to work in, guys, but those votes are every bit as important. Every Hillary vote in Pennsylvania, we don't do it by county. So if you're in Washington County, I have a phone number. Okay, 412-592-5620. 592-5620. That's Washington County. And Ray is telling us that there's also a strip district location on 19th Street between Penn and Smallman. Okay? There's got to be a lot of them. So, okay, we've already heard now 3 just in the city itself. And here's another one from Mike. Mike says, look, just go to Hillary.Clinton.com. Hillary.Clinton.com. She's apparently opening offices in the North Hills as well as Washington County. And Lori says that WTAE's website has an article about that. Okay.
Do you want to take this call or not?
No, I don't have time. Well, okay. Real quickly. Hello, caller. I just have 1 minute.
Okay.
Okay.
Hi, this is Sue.
Hi, Sue.
I was listening to your program, and I just wanted to tell you that last night I signed up to help with the Hillary campaign.
Good for you.
I Googled, I think I Googled like volunteer for Hillary.
Okay.
And then a thing comes up, you put in your zip code, how many miles you're willing to travel.
Yeah.
And then you get many options of all kind of things that are going on.
Okay.
Phone banks, canvassing,
Great.
and so forth. So
Great.
It's pretty easy.
Okay, thank you so much.
I'm scared too.
Yes. Let's get to work. Thank you.
That's right. Bye-bye.
Bye. And I guess this is as good a place to end as any with Dorothea, who says, each day the news outlets remind us how many days remain until the election. Today there are 54 days remaining. That's a little less than 8 weeks. And here are some words from my preacher. I just want to remind everyone that time is precious. on November 9th. Don't look back across the prior 8 weeks and wonder where autumn went because you're chained to CNN. The leaves will change with or without you, election or no election. Find your priorities and then find time for your priorities. Well, I hope people's priorities are more about helping Hillary get elected and saving this country than looking at the autumn leaves. I mean, you can do that while you're knocking on doors, right? P.S. She says, oh, Dorothea, P.S. tomorrow is Fun Friday. I'll try. I make no promises anymore. None. Hey, thank you, guys. It was good to be able to unload on you and talk. I feel a little bit better. I don't know why, but I do. Enjoy this beautiful day. Do get outside. Thank you. Bye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.